along the way you pick up sort of what all these different types of beers are.
Sure.
What's the difference between like craft breweries and like what are the different types of like beers? What are the genres?
There is, or there used to be sort of an obsession about the size of the brewery defining you. And of course, with the success of craft brewing, you're seeing some guys who were quite small 20 years ago now are some of the largest brewers in the United States and North America. And you're seeing it here as well. So it's really about sticking to the recipes, the whole craft beer ethic. There are certain things that brewers do as a craft brewer that larger brewers, do. I don't want to get into the whole techie side of it, but it's really about staying true to being what a craft brewer is, having the variety, innovation, just making great beer, and for themselves as much as for the people. I mean, I think we make beer that we want to enjoy ourselves. So
that's crazy. I think we're also looking at some photos right now.
Hey,
hey,
that's Mill Street. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, online.
Oh, cool.
Fun. This is the photo gallery. So this is right now what you're seeing online, or right before there is the background of your location in the distillery.
Look at that.
And people can go and check out all these different types of beers there. What else, when they get there and see the experience of it, what's the experience like for a customer who's walking into
we have
the main location
tours
downtown?
daily, right?
Okay.
So you can come in, try samples. We always have different beers that are rotating. We sell out of our retail store growlers, which are larger bottles, like jugs that you can take home, that are filled by our brewers on site.
There's always kegs as well?
You can get kegs. You always call ahead. We suggest you call ahead because availability is sometimes limited. But the seasonal beers are on tap there. But the tours, they're about half an hour. You can understand at the end of it how beer is made from start to finish. You get to see the ingredients, get to meet a brewer. People get a real big kick out of that. And we're now changing. We have a new experience that's going to be happening next month.
Okay.
We're officially opening May 23rd, and that's called the Beer Hall. So the Beer Hall is a new experience within the brew pub, and now we're going to start distilling. And I can announce it here that this is going to be
the big announcement.
The big announcement. You waited for it, folks. Phew. Couldn't contain it. It's called beer schnapps. So we're distilling beer.
Fantastic.
We're taking the beer, and what you'll see are these pipes that travel from the brew pub into our new space, into the still. And from there, it's distilled into 40% alcohol schnapps, which is not like peppermint schnapps or peach schnapps that people are used to. It's much drier, and it's made out of, the first three batches will be coffee porter, our raspberry beer, our frambozen, and tank house ale.
Wow.
So it'll be the aroma that you'll detect from the beer, and yet it'll be a completely new experience.
That's crazy. Well, congratulations on that too. Yeah. We also have our first caller on the line. I believe it's Ian. Ian, what's your question for Steve today?
Oh, hi. Yes, it's Ian Brown calling. Steve, I work for the city's economic development office, and I'm calling because I know that your company has a great impact on the city in terms of jobs and revenues and economic spin-offs, but I don't know the exact numbers, and I thought it'd be very interesting to hear a little bit about that.
In terms of job creation?
Yes. How many people from when you started with just a couple of you?
Oh, no, that's fair enough. When we started, it was myself and two guys. We like to joke it was three guys in a truck, and a very unreliable one. Since then, we moved. In 2006, our brew pub was open, and we moved to Scarborough. We're near Lawrence and Midland. And I believe that plant now employs about 70 people. It's sometimes seasonal employees as well, but anywhere between 50 to 70 people. That's brewers, drivers, administration. So that's just in that facility alone, and there's sales guys, a whole team there.
And when you started, were you just in Toronto? Was that where? And then now, how far out can you pick up
the moon?
Beer? Like, is it all across the country? Or?
We are all across. Unfortunately, we're not in Quebec yet.
Okay.
But someday, who knows? But we are across Canada. We are from the Rock all the way to Victoria.
Wow, very
It's pretty cool seeing your product out in out west or wherever you go. You get a big kick out of it.
And Ian, does that answer your question?
Well,
there's more people. I mean, Ian, don't forget the restaurants employ people as well. So there's it could be 100 to 200 people again seasonally when the patios are open. So all told, it started with 3 people, and it's a few hundred now.
And yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Ian. And I just like it's a tricky question to be able to figure out sort of how the impact of starting a new company and how far it's come and how far it will continue to grow. So you've got the main location here downtown.
That's right.
You've also got a location, you said out in Midland?
Scarborough is where the plant is. That's where the manufacturing is.
And that sort of came along halfway from what you were telling me before.
Yeah.
So that, going back to the milestones that we were talking about before as well, when you started out around 2002, 3 or 4 years later, you needed to expand to the next level.
Well, the distillery, I mean, you can see it's a beautiful destination. Tourists go there. Certainly not a place you want to have a manufacturing facility. And as we grew, we realized it just wasn't making sense anymore. So we had to pull up stakes. But we still brew beer down at the brew pub. Like it's continued from day one. But larger stuff happens in Scarborough. But then from there, last year we opened in Ottawa. We opened a brew pub in Ottawa, which is a beautiful location right by Parliament. And an old mill, which is kind of neat. And we opened a place in Pearson Airport.
Wow.
Which is not a brew pub, it's the Mill Street Airport pub. So they have all our beers there. It was the first craft beer bar, exclusively craft beer in Canada, at a major airport.
Wow, that's crazy. And what is it like licensing some of this stuff?
The rules
getting into the airport's got to be tricky.
And that's managed by someone else, actually. It's under license. The whole process changed. I would credit like the Niagara region for really getting that off the ground, because wineries were getting all these tourists, but they weren't able to serve them food, and I think they changed the rules enough that we were able to get a license so we could open it's a tied house is the legal name of it. So we've been able to enjoy. The timing for us has been great as the rules have changed.
Crazy. And for the downtown location, have you seen more people coming over to the distillery over time? You have a couple new condos as well that are up there, so that's got to bring residents to the area too. Events
definitely draw as well, like the Christmas market, for example, where we did our big Christmas caroling challenge, which was really successful. You'll get thousands of people, and it's still in an evolution where there's the West Don lands is being developed. So in a number of years from now, all the stuff that's being prepared for the Pan Am Games will be more condos,
for sure,
different residential stuff. So it's really amazing.
You're in the heart of it down there. Yeah. Well, also each week we like to have a business profile, and this week's business profile we're going to Border Pass, which is a new company that helps with wakeboarding when you don't have the boat. So we're gonna go check that out right now.
Starting your own business can be challenging, but when you operate for only 6 months out of the year, the challenge is much greater. I'm Ginger Mares. I'm at the Toronto International Boat Show, where Border Pass has turned the ice where beloved Marlies play into the largest lake in the country.
System 2.0 is the greatest invention to wakeboarding since the wakeboard itself. And basically what it's doing is it's allowing us to do setups like this behind us, indoors in Canada in January. They can be put virtually anywhere. They run electricity, so I mean, for the cost of running all day compared to running behind a boat, it's a fraction.
With us, I mean, we have different options that we allow. So if you're coming for your first time, we do what's called like a 5-pass thing. So for 5 passes, you go there and back, and we provide instruction before you would go out with like an on-land instructor. Everybody that works for Border Pass is a certified instructor. We've gone through a course that you have to take with Water Ski Wakeboard Canada, and we're the most friendly staff that you could find.
We run a summer school program at all 3 of our locations. Usually what we do is run an 8-week program. Students come out once a week for 8 weeks throughout the summer. And through those 8 weeks, we do run somewhat of a curriculum from whether you're a beginner or you're more of an advanced rider. We'll kind of tweak it to your needs. And there are some kids who come out they just want to learn how to wakeboard and ride. And so we just create a fun atmosphere. They can come out, just ride, and then leave. Other kids are more interested in getting into a competitive riding level. And so we'll spend some more time just kind of pushing those kids into trying some bigger and better things. And obviously our focus is on fun, so we want to make sure we have lots of fun, but we do encourage progression in the sport of wakeboarding.
Things like the Toronto Boat Show are definitely a huge help for us. Like literally from the minute that we end our season, planning stages begin with this.
Probably my favorite thing about being a young entrepreneur is that it's really fun talking to some of the quote-unquote older entrepreneurs. And obviously what we do is really cool. A lot of people respect it. But I think a lot of times people don't really expect us to be the guys that are behind Border Pass. And so when we walk up to certain situations and we're the ones that are calling the shots, they're kind of like, oh, okay,
We're sitting there waiting for our presentation, and every single person that walked in was just like, oh, you guys must be the wakeboarders. Like, it's just, no matter what. Like, we were dressed up, but it's just like, you just know right away. So.
I gel my hair and everything. I don't understand how they knew it was us.
And a bow tie. From the idea to the opening day, it took us literally 6 months. It was very quick turnover. We had a lot of stuff come together that honestly it almost felt like a miracle at times, that things like we would have a problem arise and Tim would look at me and just be like, don't worry man, like, it's all going to work out, and it did every time.
In the next 5 to 10 years, I think we'd like to say we'd love to have between 7 to 10 systems set up in Ontario/surrounding area. That is definitely the core. We're looking to grow the sport. We want to try to bring the system to places where otherwise they wouldn't have access to wakeboarding. I'd say the biggest risk we took as young entrepreneurs would just be the financial risk. Just the fact that to start off the first system, we both had to put up half the capital each. And being young people, we don't have a ton of capital. So it was a risk, but obviously it's paid off, and it's allowed us to almost create a snowball effect where it's now just rolling on its own. If I give entrepreneurs one financial tip, it is always give yourself a buffer. Never, you do the numbers, you always put a business plan together and you say, okay, it's going to cost this much. Add at least 10% to that, because you never know what's going to happen. Things come up, and the worst thing is to start a project off and then come up short by a few $1,000s just because you didn't plan properly.
It's official. I've been inspired. This summer, Border Pass will be seeing me and all of this in a wetsuit. They are not even ready. I'm Deidre Mares for Toronto Speaks Entrepreneurship.
Thanks, Deidre. And we're back here on Toronto Speaks Entrepreneurship. Again, I am your host, in case you haven't been watching the show. And tonight I am joined by Steve Abrams, co-founder of Mill Street Brewery. We're here answering your questions, and we'd love to hear from you. So you can get in touch with us a few ways. You can traditionally call us. You can ring-a-ding-a-ding, push my buttons, or do the cordless touch at 416-446-7090. I've been practicing that one all week.
That's a good one.
Yeah, or you can tweet us at Toronto Speaks. You can send us a message on Facebook at facebook.com/Toronto Speaks. Or you can email us as well, which I'll tell you again about in a little bit. But want to get into some new stuff that you've got going on.
Right.
So there's a new
the beer hall.
The beer hall.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
It's like an extension of the whole brew pub experience. What happened was, if you've ever been down to here,
to the distillery,
this place,
yes,
there used to be a
right behind you. You can point behind you.
Actually, it would be behind this thing.
Yeah.
It's gone now. It's a condo now, but it used to be the barrel aging place where all the barrels would be stored as the whiskey aged.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of cool and creepy. You used to walk around there when the place was still kind of half deserted. But they couldn't do anything with the building. It wasn't really historic, and it was kind of structurally unsound. So they tore it down.
Yes.
And they put up this big condo. It's a beautiful condo. So we had an opportunity. Again, it sort of falls in your lap. Do we want to have another restaurant next to us, or do we just sort of knock
Jump
a
in
hole
there.
through the wall? So that's what we decided to do. But the hook has been this beer schnapps. But we've got Chef Elizabeth, who is a fantastic chef. She was a finalist, I think, at Chef Canada, or I forget the name of the program. But she's amazing, and she's developing a menu that's more shared communal stuff. There's a charcuterie station. There's pizza. It's neat because you can share, or there's also more intimate stuff in the back. It's a pretty neat space. Big patio, 18-foot patio, and
we're also talking about marketing and getting the word out there. So what is
that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So
Go
you're doing TV appearances and spilling the beans on
That's right.
some new stuff that's coming out, which I appreciate. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, thanks.
How did you first get out there? Like, you have a brand new company.
Yes.
And the challenge always is, how do you get people to actually purchase your stuff, right?
You can't afford advertising.
You can't afford advertising necessarily, or you've possibly, like in my case, sometimes I overspend my marketing budget in the development stage, which is common for different businesses. You have a website that's quoted for $4,000, $24,000 later, you're there. So what do you do to get the word out?
I think what we do very well, aside from word of mouth and just making great beer that people want to try, we're out there a lot working with community groups, doing a lot of events. And that's kind of what I've sort of gravitated towards within the company, sponsoring things. I have an event coming up on June 21st. It's going to be a craft beer and music, indie music event. It's going to be a lot of fun as part of Craft Beer Week. But getting involved with everything from Rib Fest, Music Fest. We used to do North by Northeast. We do Ottawa Blues Fest. Music's certainly a big part of it, but it goes beyond that to cultural events, gallery openings, anywhere where people understand that you're helping them. See if you can give them a leg up with a few cases of beer, and hopefully people try it, because the mantra is liquid to lips. Mm-hmm. That's the big secret, folks. Liquid to lips. You could talk about beer all you want, but unless they're going to try it and have the opportunity to try it, you're not going to get too far. And
you often see like patio umbrellas and different things like that as well. How does something like that translate into what your market is? Like, does that actually help? Bottom line, having that exposure out on patios?
It's a nice umbrella, yeah. If it doesn't blow in the wind and hurt someone on the head, which just happens sometimes. It's visibility. It's all about visibility. And if you can find ways to creatively get your message out there, and if you can help a licensee, if a bar owner is kind of strapped for cash and needs umbrellas, you look for things that they need. Don't give them things that they don't want. But certainly in the case of a patio umbrella, it made sense. And I'm going to use the word no-brainer. And my wife's watching right now. And she said if I use the word no-brainer, she's going to lock me up. But it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I use that too much.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to use it one time on the show. After that, we start charging. What else? So you've got the marketing tips of having like umbrellas and the signage and the visibility and doing the events and that sort of stuff.
Tools.
How important is the relationships with the bar owners?
Oh, it's huge.
Like, I would assume so. But like, what's that like in walking in and not knowing someone to them having you on tap?
Well, it's a process where you're getting comfortable with someone. When we started, nobody knew who we were, and I think getting someone comfortable with the idea of selling a beer that wasn't a major brand 10 years ago, it was quite an undertaking. Mm-hmm. And you had to start with guys who were in your backyard. When we started Mill Street, we were in the East End of Toronto, and we focused a lot on licensees, that's what they call them, bar owners, who were in the East End. And to this day, a lot of them still sell our product, and there's a loyalty that you develop. If you're consistent with your product, and if there's something that happens, you're all over it. It doesn't matter if it's Saturday night and 11 o'clock. Back then, you'd be out the door to try to fix the problem. Do everything you can possible to make sure the customer's happy. So. Now,
I'm personally curious, and this has nothing to do, I guess, with the show, but sort of in a way, just personal question, because when you start. When you're at the bar, are they getting kegs like the rest of us? If I came to you and asked for a keg, is that what's usually when they're on tap, or is there? I know there's often rooms for bigger places and pipes